Secondary break. Carolina advances to the top of the ACC standings. UNC 93, Duke 84. Carolina gets to 18-4. Duke drops to 17-5, I believe. And now we stand 2 games ahead of anyone challenging us. The FSU game is going on right now. So we're doing this right after this immediate reaction. I haven't gone through the box score. We just watched the game. This is real-time reaction. But I believe FSU, North Carolina State, and UVA. UVA wins a tough one today on the road at Clemson. My Clemson prediction, I keep telling everybody in the world Clemson is a good team. And I firmly believe with all my heart. But they keep dropping ones that are really hurting them. But UVA, NC State, Florida State, and Duke all kind of gathered in there, second and third. There's some tiebreakers in there. I don't know how that kind of works. For second place, UNC stands alone at the top of the ACC standings. We beat Duke 8 miles apart. It's Duke week. We dropped one at Georgia Tech. We shouldn't have. We regrouped. I'm Graham Bunn. I am a former D1 college point guard at Appalachian State. Very proud of that. Won a conference championship there. Won some all-conference awards. So I'm a fairly decent, I will say that, at best, college player. I got my brother, Mr. Zach Talitsky, on, UNC alum, knowledgeable about all things basketball and also my sounding board and just someone that, my running mate, my 2 guard. You know what I mean? And it's the secondary break. We're breaking down Carolina Duke. It's the first chapter of 2, so let's not get ahead of ourselves. But, man, it feels good right now.
Yeah, it doesn't feel any better than this. All is right in the world, at least for one night.
All is right in the world. I'm trying to, maintain my smile. And I prolonged this recording because the fandom in my body right after the tip went, right after the horn sounded, would not have been a good show. They'd have been like, this guy is annoying. Which I'm probably going to be annoying, but it would have been unbearable had I gotten on here right after the horn sound. I enjoyed that game beyond measure.
Yeah, I mean, the anticipation all week, losing to Tech the way we did. And I thought we would respond well. I read an article earlier in the week that the team, when they got back to Chapel Hill, met without Hubert or the coaching staff for several hours to talk about what happened and get everybody's head right. So that started making me feel good. I thought that was a good sign, good leadership, but still, all week, you start thinking about it. I watched your interview with Jay Will this morning, started to get amped up. I was trying to pay attention to some of the games earlier, but just couldn't really concentrate. I was trying to watch the Kansas-Houston game and my mind kept wandering.
Yeah.
And then, and it's, and I kind of enjoy these games, but they're also a little bit of torture,
torture, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just living and dying with every shot. And then you just have that incredible release of adrenaline and just sheer joy. Cause that good does not always conquer evil, but in the long arc of time, order will be restored.
Order will be restored.
And that's what happened tonight. And so we can all go to bed easy, knowing that this team did what they needed to do. And I just have a big smile on my face.
Could not have been said better. Poetic. Like, we could end this 4 minutes and 10 seconds into this podcast. And honestly, you're not going to get any better than what Mr. Zach Talitsky just relayed. I couldn't have said it any better. One of the things that I have to keep reminding myself, and so all week long, and again, big shout out. I'm not pumping our chest, and this is not like a self flex, but you and I do this because, one, I love you. You're my brother. And it's a really cool thing that I get to hang out with you once or twice a week. And we talk Carolina basketball, which we both enjoy. But I want to take a second and just thank Jay Williams for making time. I can't imagine what his schedule's like during Duke Carolina week. All week long, it's something Duke Carolina all over the place. Even before the Virginia Tech game for Duke and the Georgia Tech game for us, it was Duke week already. And so His schedule was crazy. And then for him to come on our show, which is kind of cool, from the floor of the Dean Dome. And I will say this, I don't know if he'll get in trouble for this. Off camera, because he wanted to hold it for game day. Off camera, he said, look, I'm picking Duke. I want Duke to win. I love Duke. My bread is buttered there. But Carolina at home, if I was a betting man and I had to put money on something, I don't even know what the line is, but they cover. The line was 4.5 and they win by 9. He called it and he was really, really emphatic about, like, I just have a feeling like it's just not going to be Duke's night. And one of the things that I will give Jay Will credit for, and if anyone's watching this and you haven't seen the Jay Will interview, he does pull the curtain back on the rivalry a bunch, which was insanely cool just to be a part of. He does a good job of being as unbiased as you can be as a Duke legend. And it was really cool for him to say, look, I want Duke to win and I'm picking Duke. But I feel like, it's in Carolina. Maybe my heart changes, maybe my mind changes, but he kind of called the game, and the keys to the game, I think, really stood out. He called out the Harrison Ingram matchup, and I don't think anyone would dispute Harrison Ingram won that hands down.
Yeah, I mean, the game that Harrison Ingram played, is going to go down, and is an all-time performance in this rivalry. For your very first game, transferring from Stanford to step up like he did, really, really carried us in the first half. I mean, he's been great all year, but this performance, I think, harkened back to at least some of his shooting performances earlier in the year, where he was also very, very efficient from three. So happy for him. I mean, he's so easy to like. He's always out there with a smile on his face, always out there celebrating with his teammates. I think Jay talked about, the look on your face and your body language, and are you a leader? And, does your team draw energy from your play and your, just sort of what you bring to the floor. And I feel like he's added so much to the team, not only his talent, but that attitude and that smile and playing with joy and playing with energy and getting on the floor. I mean, maybe the biggest play of the game was him, battling 3 Duke guys for an offensive rebound, then the first one to the floor, and then the kick out, which led to the 3 in the corner to Cormac. I mean, just so happy for him. And happy for us too.
Yeah, this is great. All right, I'm going to put you on the hot seat. Oh, go ahead. Well,
I was going to say the other thing that I really liked, and by the way, like, people should listen to the Kenny Williams and the Jay Williams interview if they haven't, because they both, I think, shed a lot of light on the rivalry, which I find fascinating. But one of the things that Jay said, which I keyed into, was just the energy that you're bringing into the game and the adrenaline. And so what happens in the first, 4 minutes before you get to the first TV timeout, and how exhausted you could be. And I thought, that we handled that really well. We sort of rode that emotional wave. I thought it was great how much we pushed and got out in the break, especially early in the game, and to sort of use that adrenaline to our advantage. And then, of course, we were able to get a lead that we basically never, relinquished on that first jump, 4 minutes. And so anyway, I thought it was an interesting thing, just the human nature of adrenaline and how amped you are for this game, and how that can, impact the flow. And in this case, I think impacted it positively for us.
Yeah, going into it, and I know, it's easy to say whatever, but people that don't know you will say, well, of course he's going to say that. I take Zach at his word. What did you think? So the spread was 4.5 going into the game. What did you think the game was going to come down to? Because I believe you told me a few days ago that you thought it'd be close 3 with some late free throws, could push it to 5, but I can't really remember exactly what you said. What did you think going into tip off? How you felt?
Yeah, I thought we would win the game. I thought we're at least, if you take the body of work up into this point of the season, I think we have been the better, more consistent team. They have been playing very well recently, and so I think that gap is closed. But I felt like at home, that would be enough, and we would win. I mean, and so I didn't even know the line going into the game, but 4 seems about right. But I think my 2 keys that I wrote down before the game was Bacot versus Filipowski, and can we tag their shooters? And
you're on the record for that. You're
yeah.
on. If anybody needs receipts, we've done a show before, and you called that out.
And I think round 1 has to go to Bacot. Although the numbers look kind of close, I think just the eye test of the game. I thought Bacot really took it to him most of the game, and was certainly more
25
efficient.
and 10 is 25 and 10 for Bacot, 22 and 5 for Filipowski. Yeah, you got to give that to Bacot.
Yeah, and then just from a percentages perspective, I think Bacot's line was a lot more efficient.
10 of 13. I think Filipowski was something of 17.
Yeah. So that's huge for Bacot. I mean, this is the Bacot I think we expected to see all season. When he's this aggressive and locked in, obviously that takes us to a whole nother level. And then can we tag their shooters? I mean, they were 26% from 3. We've spoken at length about how good our 3-point defense has been, with a few exceptions. Georgia Tech shot well against us, but
and anomalies happen. Anomalies happen.
But Duke is a top 10 national offense with I think leading the ACC in 3-point shooting. I think at over 39%. So to hold them to 26 is huge.
What did we shoot from 3? I don't have the numbers in front of me. I would love to know, because I feel like we shot it well. Now, look, Cadeau goes 0 of 4. And, I think in the scouting report, and you could see it in the game, they were living with, man, we'll just give it to him. Like, we're going to pack it in. We're going to play 5-on-4 offensively, but we're not going to let him drive the paint, which is concerning for me. There's some concerns, and we'll talk about the concerns. I want to celebrate this win. I want to say I love our team. This is one of the best days I've had in a very long time. It was so cool to talk to Jay Williams leading into this. We've had you and I just started this as a passion project, and it's really, really cool. I end up watching all these other recap shows and trying to figure out how we could do better shows and hear what everyone else has to say. And I think you and I have done a wonderful job of being as unbiased as 2 Carolina fans can be. And the things that we were worried about and concerned about definitely played out in this game. But the things that we needed to happen happened, and we won. And so, the Elliot Cadeau issue with his jump shot, we can break that down here in a minute. But I definitely don't want to take away from the celebration and the mood that is, we just beat Duke, and we beat them pretty handily. It was nice.
Yeah. We shot 37.5% from 3. And again, a couple of those I think were late shot clock type of shots. I may have had some of those too. But anyway, to be more efficient than them from the line, obviously is a huge difference in the game. The other thing I found interesting, just sort of speaking about our defense. I think they had 8 assists. And we had a game, I can't remember which game it was, where I think we only allowed 3 assists. But to only give Duke, given how good their guards are at penetrating, 8 assists. I mean, that means that we were forcing their guards to really go one-on-one, and give their guards credit, particularly McCain. Made a lot of difficult shots, but they made mainly difficult 2s. And that's what you have to live with against them. I mean, that's exactly the right game plan. We stayed disciplined. We stayed with the shooters. Bacot's played good D all year. He sort of made Filipowski go one-on-one and didn't give up open 3s. And so to only give up 8 assists against a team that's that good offensively and moves the ball as well as they do is just tremendous defense.
You know what killed me? Or not killed me, but I was blown away by. I would have lost this bet 100 times out of 100. Now, one, I want to give credit to McCain. I can't remember who called it out. Maybe Jay did. Jay picked McCain for his 5 that he wanted to roll to the park with. I was floored by that. Admittedly, I'm out of the loop on McCain. His line tonight, I think it's 23 and 11. I'm pulling it up. 23-11 with an assist on 9 of 18, which is 50% shooting. Like, incredible.
I mean, a freshman coming into the King Dome, your first Duke Carolina game, and doing that is
unbelievable.
unbelievable.
And that just piggybacks every expert that I watched was like, oh, we're really paying attention to the Tyrese Proctor, RJ Davis matchup. And RJ, to his credit, I think had a much better game than anyone's line will ever tell. Like, he did not force it. It didn't look like he was trying to get his averages. He was playing within the system. He was making sure he did what was best for the team. I love him to death. I don't want to point out that, sometimes in recent memory, I felt like certain players were going for their averages rather than going for the team win. And Tyrese Proctor plays 27 minutes. He's 1 of 6, has 2 points, 3 rebounds, and 2 assists. He's a difference maker. Tyrese Proctor's a pro. So I'm sure a lot of that is he had an off night, but a lot of that is we game planned, we defended him well, and he didn't have a good game. And for the team, it went well. RJ's line tonight, 5 of 14, finishes with 17 points. He's got 5 assists and 2 rebounds, and they doubled him like no other. And the best thing about this game is anyone watches game tape of this, they're like, oh, pick your poison. You double RJ and you let the other guys go. Somebody else stepped up, and we won the game handily. So I don't know if you can guard AJ the way Duke guarded RJ tonight.
Yeah. I mean, they play great defense on him. They, they have some pretty good athletic long guards. So, and then I think they could rotate people on them. I mean, that's what everyone's going to try to do, right? I mean, that is the book on RJ, and we're going to see more of it. But if you're going to be a championship caliber team, your strengths have to play. And tonight, I think the defense played. And and it's weird because I know they scored over 80, but we turned them over. We had points off of turnovers. We made it difficult, and we definitely executed the game plan and made them play away from their strengths, which is about all you can hope for against a top 10 national offense. Yeah. So the defense played, and look, you can get caught up in Ken Pom and we're top 5, whatever defensive efficiency, but if it doesn't impact the game against your biggest rival or against the best teams, then it's not a real strength. And then tonight it was. And then you got to find other ways to win if they take away what you want to do. And I think obviously, they focused on RJ. They even cut to Shire, I think, at one of the TV timeouts, and the whole time he's just like, guard Davis, guard Davis. So I mean, they clearly that's what they emphasized all week. And I think despite them doing that quite well, having Ingram play the way he did, and then Bacot playing the way he did, that makes us a well-rounded team and makes us very, very dangerous.
Yeah, agreed. Also, it's going to go under the radar, and a lot of people will look at the box score or they'll watch the highlights, and I don't know if it'll make it, but you mentioned the play where Harrison Ingram dives on the floor, gets us another look, and we score out of that possession where we don't get any points. Another low-key MVP play of the night, and I want to give him his flowers because I get on him all the time about his shooting, is Carmack Ryan contesting that layup, pins it off the glass, we get it back. And it goes from like it could have been 5, it was at 7. We get the ball up 7 and then take it to 9. And the closing moments of the game. I mean, just pivotal plays that, he gets a block for it, but a timely block is very different than just the check mark you get in the stat book. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't think they got it closer than 7 the entire second half. I mean, that is so hard to do in this rivalry and so hard to do against a team like Duke that goes on runs. It just seemed like every time they made a play or 2 plays, somebody would step up and hit a big shot or make a play on the other end. I mean, compliments to everybody. I mean, Trimble putting in 10 off the bench, attacking the rim like we've seen earlier in the season, playing incredibly good defense. I mean, I think he's part of the reason Proctor had the line he did. Cadeau, we can talk more about, but I thought had a great first half. And then, in the second half, I think, struggled to hit some shots, but still played well. I don't know how many turnovers he had. I think maybe one, which I think is key.
Yeah, just one. Just one.
Yeah. Yeah. And we'll sort of talk about, what they did and sort of how much they sloughed off of him. One thing I noticed on the 2 threes RJ made, I thought the coaching staff made a really good adjustment. So I think because they were sloughing off of Cadeau, what they were doing is they were feeding Bacot in the post, and then Cadeau would back screen RJ's man. And then so on the first one, RJ fed Bacot from the wing. Cadeau was at the top, and he went and did the back screen, and RJ flared around the top. And so that way Bacot had, an outlet to RJ instead of having to throw it to Cadeau, who they were sloughing off of. And then on the second three is a variation of that. Cadeau fed Bacot, and then he went and screened RJ, who was up at the top, who then sort of curled off of that so that he was coming to the wing where Bacot could see them. But basically, I think that the coaching staff did an excellent job of taking away that slough from Duke and finding ways to get RJ open when they were doubling Bacot. And Bacot had 5 assists tonight, which, I think I've been critical in the past about his passing out of the double team, but I thought tonight he did a very good job. I don't think he turned it over at all.
I wish you could have been in my living room for the second play that you just described. So I've got, a TV mounted on my wall. There's a couple of my buddies here. We're all watching it. And want to say shout out to Mr. Luke Combs, Mr. Zach Massey, and their whole entire camp. They're performing at the Grammys here in Los Angeles, performing Fast Car, which was, a massive hit, massive smash. Might be some surprises with that. That's been rumored. I can't confirm nor deny whatever's going to happen with that. But so we're sitting in there. Mr. Luke Combs was not here, but Mr. Zach Massey, who is one of my best friends, I don't know if he'll see this. He and I were talking about it. That pass went into the post, and I'm not going to lie, I had a few cold ones during the game. I stood up and I was screaming at Elliott, now go screen RJ's man. And he did. And I felt like he was hearing me in real time. It flared off. I was doing the happiest dance ever because, like you said, it kind of nullified the cheat code that I think Duke was trying to implement of like, okay, well, they really only have 4 threats offensively right now if we play it this way. And Elliott is not going to get credit for that play. And if the coaches told him to do it, they get all the credit in the world. But if he happened to do that instinctively of like, all right, my man is sloughing off. I am a lethal screener right now because there's no switch. There's no one guarding me. So if I get a good screen, whoever I screen is going to be naked because my man is somewhere else. And it happened, and RJ, like RJ does, knocked it in. And when that happened, I felt like the game is over. They cannot continue to guard him like this if we put the ball in the hands of Bacot, who's a threat by himself. And then, we take away and we give a 2-on-1 up top without the ball, screen. Here's one of the best shooters in the country, open look at home, buckets, pack your bags, head 8 miles south, and we'll see you in a couple weeks.
Yeah, and what I love about RJ is, like you said, he played within the flow of the game. He played within the team framework. I imagine when you're in the running for ACC Player of the Year and you've been putting up points like he's been playing, and you want to win that game so badly, you want to put your imprint on the game. I mean, human nature is to force it, and he did it. He did it. He let it come.
He gets so much credit for not forcing it. Like, he didn't jack up 20 shots. He didn't. Look, he had a few where he was like, he was aggressive. I'll take him aggressive all day long. But he didn't hurt the team. He helped the team by trusting his teammates. And I don't know, like, again, I love analytics. But those choices don't show up in analytics. This is where, we had a wonderful show, and big shout out to Mr. Ryan Hammer with the trapezoid of excellence and your offensive efficiency rating and things like that. But there are things as a player that will never show up in a stat book, and that's the extra pass, the hockey assist, the not forcing it, playing within the team, being a decoy. Oh, I'm going to hang in the corner. I'm going to make sure that my man doesn't double in because they know they can't double off of me. RJ's impact on tonight's game will never show up in a stat sheet.
And, it'd be easy to get frustrated. And then when you have an open look, you rush it and you force it. And he didn't. He stayed in it. And then when he did get open looks, deadly. Like I just can't imagine how hard it would be to be expending all that energy and trying to get an open look. And then finally you get one. And then to stay calm and just drill both of those looks was just huge in the second half. So
when he made both those threes in the second half this summer.
Yeah.
Just thousands of shots in that building. He made those shots this summer. And, it only comes, it's not a fluke that the kid, I think, is a lock for ACC Player of the Year. It's not a fluke that he came up biggest when we needed him. It's because he puts in the time. And I loved the conversation we had with Kenny Williams. He's like, man, RJ knows. He doesn't even think he knows he can score on anyone in the country. It's just the calmness, finding his, place in the game, picking his spots. And I thought tonight, like you said, look, he's going to win some hardware. I cannot imagine being the front runner for ACC Player of the Year, the biggest college basketball game of the year to this point, knowing that I'm the biggest star on the stage, and then allowing Harrison Ingram to be the guy and be like, oh, I'm not going to force it. I don't need to compete with my own teammate. And I think that, not necessarily that has been the case in previous years. And I've never loved RJ more than I love him tonight. Unbelievable. Like some of the selflessness that is, no, I don't need to force it. I'll get my looks. We're good. Love my teammates balling.
Yeah, and we should talk about Bacot. We probably haven't talked about Bacot as much on the show, just given what he's meant to this program over the last couple of years. And I don't know, I don't know if some of these games he's a little bored. I don't know if he's just being a great teammate and deferring to others. I think everyone will acknowledge that his defense this year has been incredible. And he also seems to be a very good teammate and is not playing selfishly.
Not at all. Not at all.
But the big games when we're playing other really good big men, PJ Hall dominated that matchup, won the matchup with Filipowski tonight. So like when he wants to turn it on, that we take another step. And so, hopefully that's the Bacot that we get when we need him, is down the stretch in the ACC tournament and NCAA tournament, because man, we are really, really tough when he's going like he was tonight.
Yeah. Another thing, I don't know if you want to read into this. Again, I'm not trying to nitpick. I want to enjoy this win. The bench is getting shorter and shorter. What do you make of that? What do you think? Because tonight, only one bench player played double-digit minutes, and that was Trimble at 19. He had 10 points on 9 attempts. I thought he was invaluable on the defensive end, which I think he's known for, but he really made his impact tonight on the defensive end. I thought he had a big impact on the game. Withers plays 9 minutes, 0 of 1 from the floor, 2 of 2 from the free throw line. Washington plays 3 minutes, and that's about it. So what do you think?
Well, we outscored them 16-6 bench points, so that's important. They also, I think, went to a pretty short bench. Trimble in this matchup is the one who needed the minutes, just given the quality of their guards. And so, I'd say our most important bench player tonight stepped up and played very well.
Yeah.
And I thought Withers and Washington, although their minutes were relatively short, both played well while they were played pretty good
Washington
defense.
did play well. He played 3 minutes, which blows my mind. Now, again, I'm going to go back and watch the game, but if someone asked me, I would have said he played 7 to 10. He played 3 minutes. He made the tough little bank. I think it was RJ that drove and dished it to him. It was in a crowd, gathered it really well, threw contact and finished. Very well could have been an and one. It wasn't. Totally fine. It's all right. Got back on defense and then got subbed in. I don't know what the thinking was. Obviously it was like, oh, well, Bacot's got it going. He has to come out when he's ready to go back in. Carolina rule is if you take yourself out when you're ready to go back in, you go back in. And maybe that was the case. I do think if Washington stays, which I pray he does, he's going to be an incredibly good player for us for the next 2, possibly 3 years. Oh, no, I guess just 2. But for now, Bacot with his line, it's hard to argue getting him back in the game at 25, 10, and 5 on 13 shots. Like, unbelievable.
Yeah. I mean, I can't believe how fit these guys are. I mean, I think Ingram played like 39 minutes.
He
Bacot
did.
and RJ both played, I think, more than 35.
Well, to add some color into this, if you watch the first, maybe it was the second. Oh no, it was the 16-minute mark to the 8-minute mark because we missed the under 12 timeout.
Yeah, and the refs weren't calling anything, which I love.
Bacot was breathing blood. If you go back, he didn't make it across half court several times. It looked like he had the side stitch. He was bending over. I was literally screaming at somebody, just hack somebody, like take the foul. I was like, I don't want Bacot to fall over dead. I thought he was going to die. And then when the timeout came, usually you kind of like walk towards the huddle. He literally went to the end of the bench. I think he was walking straight to the water cooler. Like, I'm dying. I got to get something in my body. It was hilarious. If you guys get a chance to go back and watch the game, watch the first under 8 timeout that ends up being the under 12 media and watch Bacot. Like, he's grabbing his side, that side stitch that you get. He was dying. It was a bad sight. He was in a bad way.
I mean, between all the pregame adrenaline, as much as we were running, I don't know how many fast break points we had in the first half, but we were pushing everything, which I thought was a great game plan. Yeah. And then the fact they weren't calling any fouls. I mean, yeah, it was an incredible stretch of basketball and fun as a fan because, you could get in the rhythm of the game and you didn't have all these stoppages. But yeah, that was an entertaining stretch.
Oh, I loved it. I loved every second of it. I'm going to go watch it again right now. Duke, incredible program, obviously in the mix for a national title and ACC title, all those things. But just as a rival, our neighbors and guys that, we see. What does the last 100 games, it was 52-48. And I know people are going to be like, well, now it's 51-49. But doesn't the scale move, like, depending on if Carolina won the first 2 matchups of the last 100? Do you know what the last 100 goes to now? Because it moves up. You know what I mean? It depends on who wins the first of that last 100.
Yeah, like which ones drop off. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, the latest stat, I guess, was they were saying that this was the 49th time that we've met as top 10s. I mean, I think the next closest was 14, which was us versus State. So that's incredible. Like, there's that big of a gap between any other rivalry. And I think going into the game, it was 50-50. So I think we've now taken a 1-game lead in that top 10 matchup. So that I'll take that as a positive.
Yeah, I also saw where nationally, please don't quote me, but this is roughly correct, that this is like the 49th time that we've matched up as ranked teams. Maybe it was top 10 teams.
Yeah,
and the next closest was 35. So, we were 14 times more than any other rivalry in any college rivalry, like not even the ACC. So, again, it doesn't come down to a nail biter. I'm not mad at it at all. I don't need an instant classic. I need an ass whooping. I need a trip to the woodshed, and I got it tonight, and I loved it.
Yeah, that was plenty close for me.
Yeah.
When they call that hook and hold on RJ, I mean, I was just like, are we really going to do this? Are we really going to do this?
He makes 2. He makes 2. Then they throw in a 3. It's a 3-point game. I'm like, all right, man. I'll be honest with you. I inhaled a Coors Light when that happened. I inhaled one. It was like one sip. I was like, oh, I need to check myself because I got to work later. My brother-in-law's counting on me. I put this away.
I mean, what are they doing with that call? I mean, they let them play all night, which I think they should in that game. I mean, I thought the ref stayed out of the way. And then at that moment, all of a sudden, and by the way, like, that's a foul on Filipowski. He's just like defending himself. And then to call that a hook and hold, just terrible. Yeah. But anyway, it didn't cost us. It didn't cost us, but I had to calm myself for sure. That was a dangerous moment.
Can I give you a compliment real quick? Because I know you don't do this, but I do. I watch all the other shows that do what you and I are doing. And because I love Carolina basketball, it gives me great pleasure. And I'm in a place in my life where I have the time to dedicate to, like, oh, I'm going to check out what everybody else is watching. The number of shows and very good shows for that matter. If you guys are watching this and you enjoy it, there's a ton of other shows that do it. I don't think they do it as well, but I'm also biased. They were just crushing Ted Valentine for the no call and on RJ at Georgia Tech. And you came on here like I'm not going to do the ref talk. Like, we'll just move on. So I want to give you your flowers for that because I took your lead and I didn't jump on that bandwagon. So I just want to give you your credit. You're doing a great job. I've been doing market research and I watched a lot of other shows, and a lot of those shows did not hold their tongue when it came to the no call on that play.
Yeah, well, in general, I like a no call at the end of a game like that. I mean,
Yeah.
and that one went against us, but in general, I like the no call. Yeah, I don't want the refs to decide the game. I like the fact that the refs, for the most part, let them play tonight and let the flow of the game happen. I mean, when you got Duke, Carolina, and the whole world tuning in, that's what you want to see. You want to see those teams going up and down, and the refs not calling everything. So I give them a lot of credit tonight.
Yeah.
I would like to see our games officiated like that more often in the ACC. I think too many fouls are getting called. But anyway, elsewhere around the country today, I guess was an interesting day in basketball, right? KU dominated Houston. I don't know if you caught any of that.
Watched it. Yeah. I had a hard time. I'll be honest with you. Growing up and being so invested in Duke, Carolina, once it got past 10 points, and I like Houston a lot. I don't want no parts of Houston. I would love for us to get into the tournament and not have to see Houston until maybe the national championship game. I have great reverence for what that program is capable of, but they got taken to the woodshed today as well by Kansas. And so once it was past 10, it almost got to 20 at one point. I started hanging out with my friends and I started gearing up for our game. Like I was fully in on, I'm going to enjoy Duke Carolina today. And it was a wonderful day for me. I won't even lie.
Yeah. That, and then Cincy went on the road. They beat Texas Tech. So Wes Miller, I think, is doing a very good job at Cincinnati. I mean, that they're winning some good games in the Big 12, which is a total buzzsaw. So hopefully they make the tourney. And then UVA, of course, had a grinded out win against Clemson on the road, which should help their tourney hopes. And then your boy Dillingham had 17 in the first half. I'm not sure what's going on with that UK Tennessee game, but Tennessee was up 4 at halftime.
Yeah, love Rob. Rob and I have gone back and forth. Rob's not going to be able to do the show. I'll just put it that way.
He's an active player. He's an active player. It's tough.
We've dealt with the athletic department now at Kentucky. Rob's not allowed to come on the show, and I get that. So right now, as it stands, Kentucky is losing to Tennessee 71-60. They're down 11 with 10 minutes left in the second half, and Rob stands at, for anyone watching this, Rob Dillingham, not a name drop, is a really good buddy of mine. I love him. He's a great kid. He's from North Carolina. I think he's from Hickory. And as it stands at this moment, he's got 19 points on 7 of 12 shooting. Yeah, just that guy's a beast. He's going to be a top 10 pick in the NBA draft, and I love him to death. He's the best. He torched me all summer, 2 summers ago here in LA. And I was like, man, you would have loved me 20 years ago. You would have loved me 20 years ago.
So how are you feeling about next week? We've got Clemson at home on Tuesday, and then we go on the road to Miami. So that's not exactly an easy week when you're trying to come off of the emotional high of tonight.
So I probably should talk to you about this off air, but I'll just do it on air. I'm trying to go to the Clemson game with Jay Will. Jay Will is calling the game on Tuesday. And if I fly in for it, maybe I find an extra ticket. Maybe this show goes on the road, man. Like, I don't know. Could you get in the car? Can you get away from work? Like, if I find a ticket in my back pocket for the Carolina Clemson game at Chapel Hill, what are you thinking there? It's something to chew on.
Let's see what I got next week. I might be able to.
I'm putting you on the spot. I'm putting you on the spot.
No. I'm traveling. I'm traveling Thursday, but then I should be able to get there Tuesday.
All right. All right. Well, I'm gonna put it out there. We'll talk about it off camera, but I'm trying to figure that out. And yeah, man. I mean, look, Clemson's a tough team. They drop a tough one to Virginia. Virginia is sneaky. Look, UVA is what, tied for second in the league now.
Yeah,
We
they
still got to
just have
go.
3 losses.
Yeah, we got to go to Virginia. I think Duke gets Virginia at home, which it's really different. Now, granted, they win by 1 at Clemson. Clemson's a tough place to play. We've had a lot of success versus Clemson at home, and we're coming off a big win at Duke. Sometimes I worry about, like, the Georgia Tech game. Any games that surround the Duke game, they're still kids. Jay Will, threw some shots at me about, look, being distracted is not an excuse. It's not an excuse. But when you are dealing with kids, they're off this high. The whole thing was Carolina, Duke, Carolina, Duke, Carolina, Duke. You beat Duke and you beat them handily. Now, how do you go into the next game focused on, all right, we're not, this isn't the Harlem Globetrotters versus the Washington Generals. Like, we have to refocus, and we got to beat a good basketball team in Clemson that's coming into Chapel Hill. Now, I do love that it's a home. I do not want to play a road game right after a Duke game, so I do like that. How are you feeling? I think we get it done because it was a tough game at Clemson, and I think they're going to be like, well, they're good. We have to finish this. And Clemson's coming off a loss, so they're going to come in like, hey, look, we can't survive many more losses. We got to steal something,
Yeah, I agree. I mean, they're going to be a wounded animal, right? Like, they have to find some big wins if they're going to make the tournament, I think. I mean, it's hard to believe given how they
Well, they
started
were
the season.
10th. They were 10th in the league before this loss.
I know,
So,
but
as things fall, they're going to be in the bottom 4 or 5 in the league, which I would have lost every penny that I had betting on that.
yeah. So, I mean, we've talked about this before in the ACC with so many bubble teams. I think we're going to catch some desperate people.
Sure.
And so we're gonna have to match that. But yeah, I agree with you. I'm glad we don't have to go on the road. Hopefully that'll make the difference. And then the Miami game, they're always a tough matchup for us. Although this year I'm hoping our personnel lines up better with theirs. I think, we can go smaller. They obviously have great perimeter players and shoot the ball very, very well. We've matched up with those teams. Tonight we sort of similar matchup, sort of 1 in 4 out type of thing. And so hopefully, we can offset that more than we have in prior years.
All right, right
That's
now,
always a tough place to play.
1,000% agree. And I'm a big Jim Larinaga fan. Like, I love him. I was recruited by him for a small period of time. He is, and I played at Bowling Green. He was at Bowling Green before me. All of my teammates swore by him as a coach. Like, he's the greatest. It's very easy to cheer for Jim Larinaga. All right, I'm going to put you on the spot. There's 2:47 left in the second half. Louisville, Florida State. It's in Louisville. If you had to guess, if you had to give me a score, what would you think is going on in that game right now? It's a 2-part question because I have some good news after you answer, no matter what you answer.
So, I was at the Louisville game in person, and they kind of impressed me
Okay.
athletically. And I said after that game that I thought that they were going to surprise some people later in the ACC season. Since then, they've made me look not so smart because I don't think they've played a good game since then. But I'm gonna go back to my original call and say that Louisville's up in that game.
Louisville with 2:47, now 2:17 left in the second half, is up 88-79 versus Florida
Okay.
State. So
Yeah.
good call. Want to give you your flowers. Now, to piggyback that, we have a guest confirmed, and I'm pretty excited about it because I think he was the MOP, most outstanding player of the Final Four, and maybe the MVP of the national championship game the year Louisville won the national title against Michigan. I think they were playing Michigan. Mr. Luke Hancock, who is now one of 3 commentators for the ACC network with, Carlos Boozer and Joel Berry. I'm working on Joel Berry. But Luke Hancock is confirmed to come on the show. Me and you, we're going to chop it up with him. We're going to talk ACC hoops and probably something leading into the ACC tournament, get his feedback. I mean, he covers the league. You and I cover Carolina. I think it'll be a great conversation. But been going back and forth with him some of today and earlier this week about, yeah, man, he's locked in, wants to come on, wants to hang out, and is down for it. Seems like a really, really cool dude.
That'll be great. I love hearing these former players and have them share their experiences. It's as a fan, it's really cool.
Yeah, really, really cool.
Hey,
All
I
right,
know
man.
we're
Hey,
hey, hold
go
on, hold
Heels,
on.
baby.
Hey, I
Yeah,
know we're running long, but it's the Duke game, so who cares? We should we
I
should
care.
we
I
should do
don't
a
care.
2-hour
None.
show.
Yeah, 2 hours doesn't matter.
Yeah, but so I wanted to talk to you about, like, the scout on us has got to be pretty clear right now. Like, people are going to double Bacot. They're going to try to stay tagged to RJ, and they're going to put athletic wing defenders as much as they can. And then they're going to invite Cadeau to shoot, and they're going to slough off when he's in the game. And they'll probably play Trimble roughly the same way.
Agreed.
So, obviously we scored over 90 tonight. So despite that game plan, we had an answer, but we're going to continue to see it. One, I'm kind of curious, like, what's your take on how should we attack it? But also, like, part of me feels like, well, the glass half full version is we know what people are going to throw at us. And so it gives the coaching staff, I think, a chance to really work on that and come up with counters. And again, I think in the game tonight, they came up with counters with some of those ball screens that Cadeau was doing on the perimeter free RJ. But what's your take on that? Will that work against us? Do you think we're going to be able to overcome it?
Yeah, I think honestly the entertaining answer is this. There was a meme, and you're coming to us live from Charlotte, North Carolina. The quarterback, Cam Newton, for Carolina was playing against somebody. I want to say it was the 49ers. And he starts the cadence. He comes to the line. The guys are mic'd up. And this became a meme. So the reason I'm describing this is because it was highly entertaining to me. And he's like, blue 81, red crew, red crow, blah, 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 something. The Mike, the linebacker on the defense, starts calling out the play. Hey, flag to the corner, flag to the corner. Cam Newton, you can hear him mic'd up, goes, oh, you watch film. I watch film too. Watch this. Audibles, throws a touchdown pass to Christian McCaffrey out of the backfield. Now, the reason that I say that is other teams are watching tape and they're scouting us as well. We're not only watching tape, because when I was in college, we watched so much tape, more so on ourselves than any other opponent. The coaching staff's going to get into they're going to get into the offices and they're going to break down tape of Carolina more than any other team that we play. Okay, here's the deficiency. Here's how we combat it. They're going to it's not rocket science. They're going to get Cadeau out there and they're going to be like, hey, man, we just need you to shoot it. You don't have to be a proven shooter. You just have to be a threat. So if he makes one or two, that's like making 100 because the defense has to change then. But even so, just like tonight, like you said, maybe it was diagrammed for this. Hey, if they're double teaming off of you when you don't even have the ball, you're a lethal screener because there's no switch. Like, it was genius. I don't know if it was something that came from the huddle from Hubert Davis, but you said it best, and I was screaming at the television, go screen. There's no switch now. Whoever he screens is naked. So there's ways to combat it, and it just comes down to what the coaching staff wants to implement. But yes, 1,000% it will be addressed, and whatever a team sees out of that scout, Carolina's going to see as well. Marcus Page, I love the Kenny Williams interview because Marcus Page is a player that has seen it all on the player side, and he's not too far removed from it. So I think that he's an invaluable resource of like, okay, cool. They're playing it this way. This is what we're going to do.
Yeah. And I liked what Cadeau did a couple of times where he sort of caught it with his momentum coming forward towards the basket. And so, I mean, I like that. Like, don't just stand at the 3-point line. If they're going to leave you that wide open and it moves to you, go ahead and catch it with your momentum going and attack. Or I would just like to see him catch and shoot it with confidence and not be a reluctant shooter.
But I think he will now, because now he's going to be forced. They're going to say, hey, look, when they're playing you like this, we don't care if you miss. Just shoot it.
Just shoot
Be a
it.
threat. Just shoot it.
Yeah.
So I don't think there'll be any second guessing. And honestly, 2 of those threes,
Almost went in.
They caught the front rim. They skipped in and out. And the shots look good. The set shot looks good. When he has time, and everyone's got to give him time, because if you close out to him as a shooter, he's going to go right around you, either lay it in or create for someone. Like, he's dangerous. So he's going to get those looks again. And it looked good. Like, I know he didn't want to shoot it. He knows his strengths and he knows his weaknesses, but they're going to fix that and be like, hey, look, man, it doesn't matter if you miss it. Long as it's a threat, put it up there. You start making some, we're going to be real tough to guard, you know?
Yeah. I just think he'll make more if he wants to shoot them. You know what I mean? Like there's something about the psychology of being reluctant, and I get it. He's a pass first guy, but you know, when you're wide open, you know, you have to anticipate that catch and shoot. You know, I just either as soon as it touches your hands, attack, you know, or shoot it. But you know, I thought he had an incredible first half, but man, if he's going to be unguardable if he starts making.
Well, Jay talked about that. Jay talked about that on the interview. And I will say this, as a former player, and for anyone that's like, well, why do you need to throw that in there? You weren't a great player. I was a decent player. But as a former player, when people guard you a certain way because they're like, oh, man, I don't believe in that, it's almost disrespectful. And when you prove them wrong, it really feels good. So Elliot Cadeau is going to read the same articles that we're reading. He's going to watch the same review shows that we're doing. And people are going to say, oh, he can't shoot. He's 1 of 9. And you're just going to have to double off of Cadeau. He's an offensive liability in a half-court set. He's going to read all of that. And if he's as competitive as I think he is, because you don't get to be as good as he is without having some competitive edge, he's going to make some three-pointers. He's going to prove some people wrong, and you're going to see a huge smile on his face like, doubt me now. What are you going to do now?
It's like it's coming.
Like Happy Gilmore. Uh-oh, look who learned how to putt. You know? It's like, oh, so I love it, man. What a good day. What are you going to do the rest of the night, man? Are you going to – I got well, I guess I looked at it. I had the Kentucky Tennessee game paused. I was going to go back and watch it. I'm going to watch the end of it. I'm going to look at the scores now.
Yeah, I'm going to go watch that too and let my nerves.
It's a good game. Yeah, it's a good game. It's 7 points. Tennessee's up 7 with 5 minutes left.
All right. Yeah, I'll catch into that. And yeah, my adrenaline's still hopping pretty good. So we'll see how long it takes to calm down.
Yeah, well, I'm around, man. Go Heels, and I'm gonna hit you about this Clemson game because I might be there and I might be able to get an extra ticket. I'd love to watch it with you. You know?
Yeah, man. Let's make it happen.
All right, you're the man. Go Heels.
Go Heels.